Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Trevor with Maker Experiment, and today I'm going to be talking about the warranty and maintenance for my LogoJET UV 45i. Let's get into it. Let's start off by talking about the warranty. And you can find all of this information on their website, but LogoJET machinery comes with a 3-year warranty. This covers pretty much everything aside of your consumables. The consumables are things like inks, adhesion promoters, the filters, and normal things that have to be replaced on the machine, and their website lists all of those items. When I was researching machines, a lot of them came with 1-year or 2-year warranties. LogoJET's the only one I saw that comes with a 3-year warranty. So definitely keep that in mind if that's important to you. Next up is the maintenance, and I think this is probably one of the things that people find the scariest when talking about UV printers. They see a lot of things online about how maintenance is horrible for printers in general, and then they get really scared about them and don't want to do it. Even I got caught up in this because coming from the laser world, I'm not going to say you shouldn't do maintenance. But you could definitely use and abuse a laser quite a bit before you're going to have a problem. And a printer is not that way. If you don't do the maintenance, you will end up with problems, and they could end up clogging your print head and making it so you have to replace those components. And I got it in my head that the printer maintenance was this huge, massive thing that was going to take a bunch of time, and the reality is that's not what happened. On a day-to-day basis, when you're coming in and booting it up each day, you really just have to shake the white ink in order to mix up the pigments, and then you do a head clean and a nozzle check, and you're pretty much set to go as long as you've been running it each day or every few days, and you've been doing the maintenance as you're supposed to. So each day, it's maybe a 5-minute startup that will get you up and running for the rest of the day. When it comes to the weekly maintenance, that one's a little more involved. And this is probably one of the ones where people think it's this massive undertaking, and it's really not. It takes about 10 minutes at most. And I'll walk through what I do for the weekly maintenance. And then there's a monthly maintenance that includes things like adding grease to your worm gears and things like that to make sure your axes are moving properly. So first up, I'm going to show you on their website where you can find the information for the maintenance and the warranty, and then we'll go ahead and jump in and I will show you what a weekly maintenance is like. When you come to LogoJET's website, which is logojet.com, go under the support area. The warranty is right under warranty, and the printer maintenance is under the printer maintenance. When you get to the warranty page, you'll see if you scroll down here, that it is indeed that 3-year warranty that I mentioned. It also will walk you through a little bit about the coverage details, support access, resolution and replacement of parts. The thing I want to point out here, which they do state on their website, is that the warranty is tied to the original purchaser and it is non-transferable. So if you sell this machine, that warranty goes away. As far as support goes, there is phone and email support. And if you scroll down here, you will also see a section that says warranty exclusions and limitations. Just pointing out here as well that it does exclude those consumables that I mentioned, the inks, the primers, cleaning solutions, and items like that. Next, if I go back to the maintenance, right now, the UV 45i isn't currently on the website, but it is extremely similar to the 40R Plus. So the 40R Plus maintenance is the one that I'm going to be following for this. So if you scroll down to daily maintenance and click on that, once again, you open it up. I typically do a head clean, then I do a nozzle check, and as long as everything's good to go, you're good to run for the day. If you go back under the maintenance, you can go to weekly maintenance and click on that document. And that one is this document over here on the right. Over here on the right, it will show you the materials that you need for the weekly maintenance. They start off with safety glasses. I'll be honest, I don't wear them. I probably should. The rubber gloves, you'll need UV maintenance flush solution. You're gonna need isopropyl alcohol that's 99%. If you cannot get that, 91% is okay. some lint-free cloth, lint-free swabs, those come with the machine. But if you run out of those, you will have to purchase more, and there are some that you can get off Amazon that are pretty cheap. The Phillips head screwdriver from the kit that came with the printer, and then the carriage rail oil, which also came with the printer. So it will spell out everything we do, and I'm gonna walk you through all of it and show you exactly how long it takes. And then the second document lays out the items that you need to do, typically monthly. Sometimes I'll just incorporate these into weekly. It doesn't hurt to do them at the same time. But this is going to include lubrication of the worm gears for both the Y-axis as well as the Z-axis. And I will tell you where you can find those. It's really not a lot that you have to do for maintenance, but if you don't do it, you could end up having problems. I do want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, which is LogoJET. So they do make the UV printer that I'm using, which is the UVX45i. The reason why I like UV printing is it allows me to add color to a lot of my projects, and it really complements the laser technology well. So if you want to make signage, but you want to add some color to it and be able to do really intricate designs without having to laser cut a ton of really tiny parts that are in different colors, UV printing makes that really easy. And the possibilities by adding color with your laser projects are endless. So if you're interested in them, go to logojet.com and check out what they have. I will also put a link in the description below. If you have any questions about UV printers and the technology and how I use it in my business to complement the lasers, let me know those in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer everything. I wanted to jump in real quick because there's been a little bit of an update to the maintenance for the Inspire series that has occurred since I filmed the actual maintenance portion of this video. And the components that you address and all of that is still the same, but it is what you actually can use on those components. When it comes to the isopropyl alcohol that is 99%, you can use that on the encoder strip, you can use that on the lamp glass, and any of the ink on the sheet metal and general cleaning. The change that has occurred is that that alcohol should not be used after the flush head solution on components like the print heads, the cap tops, the wiper blade, as well as flushing those print heads. The reason for the change is that the Inspire series uses Epson components that are a little more sensitive to the alcohol, and that is why they recommend that those print heads, the wiper blade, the cap tops, and then flushing it should only be done with that flush solution. Do not follow that up with the alcohol. Keep that in mind as you watch this maintenance part, and the parts where I'm following up with alcohol, please exclude that if you are following that process. First up, I'm going to turn on the light. The button is in here on the left on the UVX45i. But this is all of the stuff that you need for both weekly and monthly maintenance. So you have the maintenance flush solution, you have the oil for the rail, isopropyl alcohol, lithium grease. This is for hardware. I've already taken a panel off to reveal a worm gear for that monthly maintenance part. This is just to make sure that I don't lose any of the parts. UV lamp filters, the swabs, screwdriver, and the gloves. All in all, it's not that much. I almost forgot, I also have a plastic container where I'm going to dump the waste ink for now, so that I can dispose of it later. In my previous video of the on-site training, we actually went through up close the areas that you need to focus on. For this one, I want to do a little bit different style, so that you get a real look at how long things take. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the camera rolling, which could not be the best thing in the world, if I'm honest, but I'm going to get prepped like I'm a surgeon. Then I'm going to, I don't know why I said that. Balloon animal. Okay. Now that I'm done being a child, I'm going to walk through all of the maintenance real time to show you how long it really takes. They do recommend you turn off the machine when you do it. I'll be honest, I don't, because I tend to be moving the carriage back and forth or the bed up and down so that I can get access to things. So the first thing I'm going to do is start off with the oil and then walk you through all of those steps. So I might be referring back to the document, but I won't cut the video so that you see real time how long this takes. These are also other printer swabs that you can get off of Amazon. It's a very similar one to the ones from LogoJET. So if you need them in a pinch, you can buy those there. So first up, oil and isopropyl alcohol. I'm just going to clean the rail. Apparently I never opened this one. When I say real time, this might get real boring. Okay, so I'm just going in here, sliding it along this rail to clean it up. I'll also typically clean the top of this just to get any residue out. And then I'll jog the head over so I can reach the other side of the rail. But you can already see some of that dirt and grime on the printer swab of what's accumulating on your printer. So make sure you're cleaning everything. All right, there we go, trash that. Take the oil, and you really only need to put a couple of drops. So I've usually put one on one side, and then one on the other side. And then I just run the head back and forth to move that oil along the length of the rail. All right. Typically, while it's in this position, now that I'm done with the oil, I go ahead and I clean the capping station and the wiper blade that are over here on the right. So for this one, I typically use the either isopropyl alcohol or the UV printer flush solution. If you use the flush solution, just follow up with isopropyl alcohol. And while I'm doing this, I typically have a shop towel handy. So you're just going to wipe down the area. Again, you can see the ink that builds up on all of your stuff. And if I did it with the flush solution, I usually follow up with the alcohol just to make sure it doesn't get any stickiness or collect any kind of residue. Normally, I'm not stretching like this. It's just so I'm not blocking the camera. All right. So that's the capping station and the wiper blade. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the bed. All right. I am going to go ahead and take this panel off because I want to show you a couple of things to look for while you're doing this. It's just a Phillips head screwdriver. Comes right off. All right, so you want to make sure that all of your ink lines are connected properly. You want to make sure all the dampers look good. You don't have any kind of ink leaks in here or anything like that. This will also give you access to the lamp filters. Well, this is the lamp filter. This is the actual lamp. So what I typically do after that is I will go ahead and clean the lamp itself. So you just take a printer swab with alcohol on it and run it across the lamp. Make sure you flip it over halfway in between. Just like the printer head, you don't want to wipe the UV lamp and then carry something from the first wipe over. So clean both of the UV lamps like so. And then I'm going to go into the printer head cleaning. So I start off with the maintenance flush solution, dip the printer swab into this. And then same thing, you want to run across the print head like that. You'll then flip over the swab, run it along the next section, discard of that one, get a new one, do the same thing on the other part of the head. All right, cleaned all that off. Then I will follow up with alcohol across the whole bottom of this area. I do not touch the printer head though. It's just the surrounding area. Because if you watch the other video, the wiper blade will wipe stuff across this face. So you want to make sure you keep that clean. All right. Then, while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and replace the filter. So just disconnect that cable, pull off the old filter, throw it away. Put on the new filter. And reconnect the cable. All right. Everything else here looks good. While this is out, I'm going to go ahead and grab the white lithium grease and my last printer swab. Good news is I have a whole bag. Amazon. Go ahead and open the grease. And just get a little bit on there. You can typically grab it off this cap. And you're going to put it on the actual pulleys so that it runs across. I wouldn't put it on just the belt, because if you do just the belt, it's only going to stay with that part of the belt unless you really get it to go all the way around. There we go. Again, just move it back and forth. There we go, nice and smooth. You'll also want to make sure your encoder strip in the back is clean. You can do that with alcohol and a swab as well if it looks like it needs to be cleaned up. So right now, just looking at it, mine looks very transparent and very clean. So that one is good to go. As far as the worm gears go, there's a worm gear here under the bed that helps the bed go back and forth. So all I'm going to do here is wipe some grease on it. It's a little tucked underneath, so make sure that you are definitely looking for it. And we'll end up moving the bed back and forth. There's also a worm gear over on the right. So there's a panel that looks like this that I've already taken off. And that panel covers up all of your electronics. So if I get back here, my room is not very big, just for those wondering. There is a worm gear in this back area, which you may not be able to see me right now, but we're going to take a swab with the lithium grease on it and put it on that worm gear. I will say that it's not the most accessible thing in the world, and you want to be careful because you are working around the electronics. But that is that one. Okay. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything real quick. All right. The one last thing, once you are done with the grease, put that back together, is that there's a waste bottle in the back right corner where I just was. You're going to take the hose out. And this, if you've been printing, will look something like this. So you're going to have waste ink that you need to discard, because if you don't and this fills up, you will end up with ink all over the floor. You don't want that. So make sure you are checking this periodically and that everything is empty. So I typically just pour it into a container like this one. You can throw kitty litter in here to help soak it up. Just make sure that you are discarding this within your local regulations. Typically, people take it to a dump and just check with them on how it needs to be discarded. So make sure it's empty. Go ahead and put it back into place. All right. Like that. Close up the ink. And then all I really have to do is put the panels back on. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the screw for this front panel. This is quite a bit simplified from the previous version. The previous version used to have little cutouts at the top of this cover to have the ink lines go through. This is much easier to deal with. All right. All right, Once you have everything done, I usually hit the head clean button. It'll send it back to here and get the machine ready to go. Actually, thankfully, I didn't actually hit the button yet. I pressed right next to it and missed it. So what I'm going to do while this is out, I'm going to go ahead and shake the white ink bags. All I do is unplug them from their ink lines. You want to do that for about a minute. There's no great way to shake these without it being kind of odd. So go ahead and shake those for about a minute. This part I am going to skip ahead because you don't want to watch me doing this for a minute. But after this, we'll plug it in, do a head clean, and then you'll be good to go. But that's all the maintenance that there is for this. And I don't know how long that actually took. I'll have to look back at the footage and see. But it didn't feel like it was more than about 10 minutes. Okay, I've shaken the ink. Go ahead and plug this back in. And you really only need to shake the white one because of that pigment in there. Right now it's going through that head clean. You see it come back and then go back to the purge section. And now we should be good to go. So I'm going to move the bed forward and do the auto height while I am putting this film on. This film is just a transfer sheet that is used for the nozzle checks. So I'm just putting it on the bed, turn on the vacuum to hold it down, click on auto height, make sure that the origin is ahead of where the sensor is or it won't work. Once it's there, you can turn off the auto height and then click on the nozzle check. All right. So here, what you're going to be looking for on the nozzle check is if you have any missing nozzles. That it's hard to get it to ever show up on camera properly, but I usually hold it up to the light, move it around to get the reflections. I have a couple of channels missing. I do see that happens sometimes after cleaning because it just needs to get the ink back through. But we have over 95% of them. And from talking to the tech, that is enough of them to go ahead and print. So we're good to go for the day. And that's all there is to the printer maintenance. As you saw, there's not a lot to the maintenance. It's just making sure that you do it every week. But that's going to do it for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so that you know when I come out with new videos. If you have any ideas for future videos for UV printing, lasers, combining the two, let me know those in the comments below, and I will do my best to address those in the future. Be sure to check out my Instagram at MakerExperiment, where I share things like this along the way. But I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you in the next one.